It's Final Four time on Betting with the Barbers, powered by Superbook Sports. And after an historic divisional round of playoffs, we have reached the conference championship games. Ron Kruk, along with former New York Giant Tiki Barber, and of course, former Tampa Bay Buck Rondé Barber. Guys, what can we say? I mean, what an epic weekend for football that we saw 3 out of 4 road underdogs cover, 3-1 outright. The other game was decided in overtime. And for the first time in playoff history, every game went down to the final play. Really just an incredible weekend.
Well, it lets you know that they got all the right teams in the divisional round, whereas the wild card weekend, it felt like, what the hell are the Philadelphia Eagles doing here? What are the Patriots doing in this game, getting blown out? This week was amazing all the way around and made some memorable games, regardless of who you were rooting for.
I think you could throw the Steelers and the Cardinals into that category, the wild card weekend as well. It far made up for the mediocre football that was the week before. I mean, I told you, I didn't even play golf on that day on Saturday or Sunday because these freaking teams were all so good to watch. I think I had a couple of winners, but I had a couple of losers. I was hoping that the Bucks came down and tied it and won it with a field goal, and that would have been the most prescient gambler of all time.
100%. Tiki, I know I was nervous when the text started coming in from Rondé.
Yes, I was too. I was definitely nervous because he got off on the right foot, and I was like, "Oh, here we go." Me and Kruk are gonna have to hear it for a whole week.
100%. Saturday was brutal. I had to shut the phone off because Rondé went 2-0. We got to give him props. Tiki and I were struggling, but we came back on Sunday. And but the week goes to you, Rondé. Well done, sir.
Thank you.
Of course. Before we move on, I mean, there were so many points to last week. I just want to get something, what stood out to you? LA did everything to lose that game, but they pulled it out. Buffalo did everything to lose that game with 13 seconds left, and they accomplished it. The NFL overtime rules, teams winning the coin toss are now 10-1 in the playoffs. I mean, so many storylines. What stood out to you guys?
I think what stood out to me, Ron, is that, and you've done this for a few years now, but it was just really on highlight this past weekend. In order to win a Super Bowl, a couple of things have to happen. You either have to have unbelievable luck, like the San Francisco 49ers, or you better have a top 5 quarterback. And teams that are making these decisions at quarterback, like, we can get by with this guy. I think we can win. We just got to put the right pieces around this guy. It's not happening, man. If you want to be at this point of the season, your quarterback better be elite or have an elite defense like the San Francisco 49ers did against the Green Bay Packers, in part because of the weather, but also because David Bakhtiari was out and they were forced to start a guy who had no experience at that position, and their offensive line was in shambles. So it's really about quarterbacks. And I think this past weekend, it showed us that in spades.
I think it's that. Not only is that in the NFL, it's like that in college as well. Elite quarterbacks win in college. In the NFL, it is about the quarterback, Tiki, but I think it's as much about the surrounding pieces. You just go to the Titans, right? Is Ryan Tannehill an elite quarterback? No, but he's capable when he has the pieces around him.
Yeah.
Tom Brady is 44 years old. Is he elite quarterback? I mean, his stats say he is. But without Tristan Wirfs at right tackle, Pro Bowl right tackle, the game was completely different.
Right?
That's right.
The Bucs game very easily, I'm not going to say could or should, but it could have been 40-6. If they don't turn the ball over 4 times, it's a blowout. There was only one difference on offense. Obviously, they were down some receivers. There's only one difference. He didn't have his supporting cast, and he got blown out of the water. Yeah. My takeaway, though, is that the state of that position in the NFL is perfect right now. You got aged guys, you got some unbelievably charismatic and exciting younger guys, and to me, it feels like anybody can win any football game. I love that.
Yeah, and what a performance by Wyoming's own Josh Allen. That performance went to waste, though. It was an incredible weekend, and it's going to be hard to top it, but we're going to give it a shot. We got some great storylines coming into the conference championship games. Bengals looking for their first Super Bowl appearance since '89 and 2 wins away from their first Super Bowl championship. On the other end of the spectrum, 49ers trying to win their 6th Lombardi trophy, but it's been 27 years since their last championship. Kansas City trying to become the 3rd team to appear in 3 straight Super Bowls. And the Rams are the first team to host the conference game in the same stadium where the Super Bowl will be played. It should be a lot of fun, guys. Let's kick things off in the AFC, where the number 4 seed Cincinnati Bengals visit the number 2 seed Kansas City Chiefs. Rematches galore again this week. These 2 teams met in Week 17. I mean, that was less than a month ago when the Bengals overcame an early deficit to defeat the Chiefs in Cincinnati. The final on that one, 34-31. That was Week 17. Cincinnati against the spread. They have covered the spread in their past 6 games. They are on fire, but so are the Chiefs. 8-2 against the spread in their last 10. Here are the current odds from superbook.com. Kansas City opened up as a touchdown favorite at -7. The current odds still at -7. Over under some major points expected to be scored in this one. 55 points for the point total. Let's get things rolling on this conference championship edition of Betting with the Barbers. Tiki, kick us off.
Yeah, laying 7 against a team and a player in particular who you gave up 266 receiving yards to. Jamar Chase had in that Week 17 game. It's just unbelievable to think that they're that big of a favorite. So at first blush, I'm kind of leaning towards the Cincinnati Bengals. However, the Cincinnati Bengals have a lot of problems that are being masked over the last couple of games, including how porous their offensive line is. Last weekend, we all remember Joe Burrow got sacked 9 times in this game. And I think the only way for them to stay with the Kansas City Chiefs is if they do something that's taking them out of what they're great at. That is run the ball with Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon quietly had a really great season. He was 3rd in the NFL in rushing with 1,200 yards. He was 4th in touchdowns with 13. Their run game is potent. But in order to win in this postseason, they have to score against the Kansas City Chiefs team. So it puts them at a market disadvantage. I love where the Kansas City Chiefs are. The early adversity in this season galvanizes them. It showed them what some of their weaknesses are. And it also showed them how to play through adversity. And I think we saw that in particular at the end of the Bills game last weekend. Now, I don't know if you guys have heard the audio, but you should go check this out, because the Buffalo Bills did something in those last 2 plays. They played everybody wide to the sidelines on the first play. They got a big gainer. Travis Kelce goes to Patrick Mahomes and tells him, if they do that again, we're going to make this. I'm going to forget whatever play's called. I'm going to do this, right? And so there's now sound.
Football.
There's sound that's been released. You should hear it if you hear it. He at the line of scrimmage, Patrick Mahomes is telling Travis Kelce, do it. Like whatever, forget the play, just do what we talked about. It's backyard football, man. Backyard football set up the game, tying field goal. Obviously, they win in overtime on the coin flip. That's a whole different conversation. I love where Kansas City is, and as much as I appreciate where Cincinnati has come and all the records that they've set and how great Joe Burrow is going to be, I got to take the Chiefs at home, even though they are laying 7. Give me Kansas City -7 here.
Wow, the audio is pretty cool, but I mean, situational football. There were some defensive coordinator decisions this weekend that completely baffle me. Mm-hmm. And as a defensive player, a guy that understands football, it pissed me off, to be honest with you.
That was one. Why are you protecting the sideline? Why are you protecting the sideline?
You can't cover the field that quickly. And just to play the way you basically gave it to him, laid him up. You gave him a layup. It was just stupid. That's a rant for another show. But
yes, it is.
Trust me. I look at this game, and my first question is, obviously, is this the end of the line for my Bengals? Right?
It was a good run, my friend.
All year. Look, this game is 7 points for a reason. This is Zach Taylor's third playoff game, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, he'll be looking to play against his mentor, Sean and McVay, if they make it too. This is Andy Reid's 35th playoff game. He's got 19 victories. It's the third most in NFL history, right?
Wow.
So everyone expects, just based on this line, I think, and if you look at the way it's being bet, everybody expects KC to win this game, but for Cincy to cover, right? And it's probably based on that 31-34 victory at Arrowhead early in the year. And I don't think that I disagree. I'm kind of in the same boat with you, Teague, but I'm telling you why I'm a little bit different. There's only been one person that has beaten Patrick Mahomes twice in 1 year. You know who it was?
Who?
Tom Brady. And it was the Pats. Is Joe Burrow Tom Brady? No. Maybe Tom Brady one day, but not right now. The Bengals do one thing well on defense, right? Stop the run. But it's the one thing that the Kansas City offense doesn't even try to do most of the time. To me, that's a wash, right? They ran for 155 yards last game, but they lost the football game. Like, I don't think they're going to sit back and try to protect their lead like they did last time. We've seen what this Kansas City offense can do. They can move up and down the field at will. They just put up 480 yards of offense and 4 touchdowns against the number one defense in the NFL last week. I mean, they're very clearly playing their best football right now. Cincinnati's defense, however, I know you've mentioned some weaknesses and some things that haven't come through for them. But since they played this team last, since they played Kansas City last, 19 points per game, and they have 7 takeaways. So they're starting to hit their stride as well. And we talked about this last week, didn't we? I think it was a viewer question. What ultimately wins championships? Is it offense or is it defense? You don't have to answer it. I know. Look, I think Joe Burrow, he's young, but he can chase games, right? He can chase games. He did it last time. They were down 14 points twice against the Kansas City Chiefs and came back and won. Those 266 yards are ridiculous, right? But he picked them apart, right? There's one thing that disrupts good quarterback play, and that's rushing the passer. That one thing that the Chiefs do not do well is rush the passer. This is not going to be a 9-sack game like it was for Tennessee, even though their offensive line is no good, right? They got Chris Jones, the Chiefs, and who else? Melvin Ingram, who's got 1 sack, and Frank Clark, who's got 4, right? That's it, other than Chris Jones. So I think this is a cautionary game for Steve Spagnuolo and Andy Reid, but it's going to be a full-on sprint. Take the over on the points. That's for sure. KC is hot, but I think Cincy might be hot enough to keep up with Patrick Mahomes. They held him to 259 yards last time they played. That's significant, man. Like, it's significant. Even though he's the best quarterback remaining, it's significant. I think they keep this closer than 7. And maybe
don't go there. Don't go there.
Win. But in either way, give me the Bengals against the spread.
Whoa, one more time with the Bengals. You got to ride it out. Well, maybe 2 more times. We don't know. They have come through for you, Rondé, all season long. Quickly, my take on this, man, I've gone back and forth with this. Again, the O-line play of the Cincinnati Bengals was just appalling in that Tennessee game. You both mentioned it, and in the immortal words of Principal Ed Rooney from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, he was sacked 9 times, and they won. How does that happen?
I don't know.
And they won. To me, that is such a concerning point. But if they can protect Joe Burrow and Joe Mixon can eat up some of the clock, control the ball, keep Mahomes and company on the sidelines, I think they have a great shot at winning. The Bengals, you mentioned it, Rondé, they have been on the plus side of the turnover battle in this run. And listen, it's not easy traveling to KC. It never is. Kansas City's offense is clicking right now. And I think one of the things, though, is the fact that Cincinnati beat them earlier. Even going into Arrowhead, it's giving them the confidence to maybe pull this one off. I went back and forth with this one. I am going to take Rondé's Bengals and the points and see what happens. But I am not really – I love the over in this one a lot better than I like the teams. So Rondé going Bengals. I'm going Bengals, and Tiki is taking the Chiefs at home.
Finally.
All right, let's move on now to the NFC Championship. No-Cal versus SoCal battle. This remaining seed in the playoffs, but possibly the hottest team right now, number 6 ranked San Francisco 49ers traveled to LA to face the number 4 ranked and NFC West division foe, the LA Rams. Quickly, guys, San Francisco swept the Rams in the season. Epic comeback in overtime at SoFi Stadium in Week 18. That got the 49ers in the playoffs. Week 10, completely dominated by San Francisco. The Rams had no answer for Deebo Samuel. 2 touchdowns, 133 yards. They rolled 31-10. San Francisco looking to reach their 8th Super Bowl in franchise history. The Rams, their 5th and 2nd appearance in 4 years. The spreads, LA has covered 2 out of their last 4 against the spread, but 6 out of 8. And the 49ers just keep rolling. They have covered 6 out of their past 7 games. And for you point total fans, the under has come in 7 of their past 8 games when the 49ers play. Here are the current odds according to Superbook.com. The Rams opened as a 3-point favorite, and some money has come in on LA. They are currently a minus 3.5-point favorite. Get that hook. And the point total is 46. Guys, 49ers are the underdog in this game, even though they've beaten the Rams 6 straight times. Craziness. Rondé, it's all you. Break it down for us.
This feels like a toss-up. And to clarify your vernacular, is SoCal is LA. I thought NoCal was like the middle of the state, like Bakersfield or something.
No, he's going up north. My man Gilbert Melendez up in San Francisco. He lets me know about it.
As soon as San Francisco won their last game of the season and got into the playoffs, you almost felt like this collision course was starting, right? And it's like all the drama, right? I mean, you're asking who the better team is. It's the Rams, right? They sold their soul and their future really to win the Super Bowl this year, right? And now they're in the NFC Championship game. It's so funny. Super Bowl team has never been played by the home team. Well, it might happen twice, right? In two
years in a row.
Like, that's a wives' tale now. It's a myth. But those 6 wins in a row, right? Only one of those games have the 49ers not covered as well. I know historical like data means nothing. Like one time is like, oh well. 2 or 3 times, you're like, man, what the 4, 5, and 6? You beat them 4, 5, and 6 times in a row. All of a sudden, it's significant, right? It's statistically significant. Now I know it's a playoffs. You only play for 1 game, but to me, it seems like Shanahan has something for McVay. He has his numbers. Sometimes it's just the familiarity. When we played. We play the Saints every year, and no matter how bad the Saints are, they beat the Bucks, right? It's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. To me, though, this matchup, and I know Tiki will probably agree with me here, it's a good one for a lot of different reasons. It's about 2 young black coordinators. Can Raheem's defense stop the 49ers run game? And can D'Amico Ryan's secondary stop Cooper Kupp? Right. Firstly, I think Kyle has a lot more in his arsenal, Shanahan, to go against Raheem than the other way around. But they've tried everything. They've tried too high the first time around just to make them run the football. They lost. They tried to go single high to stop the run, and then Jimmy Garoppolo throws for 316 yards, and they lost again. Right. They sacked him, of course, but it didn't matter. Rams pass rush is the best in the league. We know that. We saw it last week. We see it every week. Donald, Miller, Floyd, they're ridiculous, right? Can they stop the run and play zone coverage, though, and let Jimmy Garoppolo mess it up? I know Tiki hates Jimmy Garoppolo because he's going to mess it up. I don't know. And on the other side, this Rams offense is predicated on one thing, right? Can Matthew Stafford take care of the football? Well, he did last week. The game should have been a blowout. But guess what? Cam Akers fumbled twice. Their best player, Pro Bowl wide receiver, fumbled. And then they had a ridiculously errant snap that gave the Bucs ball back on the plus side of the 50. Like, how does that happen? Like I said, that game should have been a blowout, but they keep leaving people in games. I know one thing, right? The 49ers will not play man-to-man against this defense or this offense. When Matthew Stafford sees single high or pressure, he is the best, and I mean statistically the best quarterback in the NFL. Right. I know they got cover 7. People are talking about this cover 7. We called it double the stars. You're going to play man-to-man everywhere, right? And you're going to double Cooper Kupp and somebody else opposite Cooper Kupp. But I think Matthew Stafford does one thing very well. When he sees single coverage and he knows he's not going to go to Cooper Kupp or Higbee or whoever the other guy that's doubling is, he'll find OBJ. He'll find Van Jefferson. He did it last week. He's done it all season long. So my only worry in this game for the Rams at 3.5 is that they let people back in the games. They let Tampa Bay back in the game. They let San Francisco back in the game a couple weeks ago. They had to come back to beat Baltimore, who we know stinks, right? So are they more than a field goal better than San Fran? I honestly don't think so. There hasn't been a game since week 14 where this 49ers defense hasn't given up more than 307 yards. Think about that. Since week 14, they haven't given up more than 307 yards. I think it's a close game. I'll take San Francisco here to cover.
Wow. I love how he works that in. You think he's going one way and then he comes back.
I mean, I hear what you're saying, Rondé. I really do. It's an anomaly. It has to be an anomaly. Sean McVay is one of the best coaches in the NFL right now. He cannot beat Kyle Shanahan. He just can't do it, no matter what he does. And Rondé laid it out. They played zone. They ran the ball over him. They played man. Jimmy Garoppolo, who I don't trust at all, you're right, throws the ball over him. This line is like it's a killer. Because they're gonna get a huge lead, let them back in, and win by a field goal. Right? Yeah. So it's like the 49ers are definitely gonna cover, even though they're gonna lose the game because they're not good enough to beat the Rams. It's just this game is confounding, but it's awesome for that exact reason. But it goes back to what I said at the beginning of this episode, talking about quarterbacks. And you mentioned it, you alluded to it briefly, Rondé. The LA Rams have sold out. Really, they've been doing this for like 4 years, selling out to try to win one. And they got to one, but they got out-coached significantly by Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots a few years ago. And so they're sold out again. They put all their chips on the table and said, Jared Goff, you're good. You're not good enough. Let's go get Matt Stafford. And so they go bring in Matt Stafford. This offense has been ridiculously explosive. The last couple of games, 74% completion percentage for Matt Stafford, 10.5 yards per attempt, 4 touchdowns. He's thrown no interceptions, even though they turned the ball over a lot against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and got them back into this game. But I think the difference, and this is why I'm taking the Rams. I'm going opposite you again, Rondé. I'm taking the Rams with 3.5. So I think this is it's a 6 or 7 point game, is because you can only check. Put that in check, whether it's cover 7, this double the stars, whatever you want to say. Cooper Kupp and Odell Beckham, and now Cam Akers, who's back healthy after an Achilles injury, which I have no idea how he's playing this year, but he's back, and he's going to be a difference maker as he gets stronger. I think at some point, the wear of all of this firepower going on the San Francisco 49ers creates a crack, and I think it happens because Jimmy Garoppolo gives them short fields. And so at the end of the day, I said this last week, even though they came back and they somehow beat the Packers without scoring a touchdown and doing it solely, and I hate to say that because that's just disrespectful, solely with special teams. They're here at this game. I just think the Rams are so much better on paper. It's hard to beat a team 3 times in one season, especially at home. And you've heard this from the very beginning of the week. The LA Ram fans or the LA Rams themselves are telling their fans, buy the damn tickets. Don't let San Francisco 49ers fans be in the stadium. The last time they played, it was a home game for the 49ers. So if they get the home field advantage, they don't make those stupid mistakes that let the Bucs back in this game. And Matt Stafford just keeps doing Matt Stafford things and let Jimmy Garoppolo do what Jimmy Garoppolo does. I think the Rams win this one comfortably. Not running away, but I think comfortably. So give me the Rams plus 3.5. I mean, laying 3.5. Give me the Rams laying 3.5.
Yep, laying 3.5. All right, we got a Barber brother battle here in the AFC and NFC Championship. Tiki going with the Rams in this one, and Rondé with the 49ers. You mentioned it's tough to beat a team 3 times, Tiki, but I've got a stat for you. This is one of the favorite I saw this week in my research. Since 1985, there have been 3 prior games where one team swept a division rival in the regular season, then played them in the conference championship. And in all 3 of those games, the team that swept the season won the third game. Just throwing it out there. Just a trend that I heard. I think that what the 49ers front four has done the past few games, destroying the Cowboys and now the Packers. And the last time they played the Rams, they did that too. They created some problems in the backfield that caused Matthew Stafford to struggle. He threw 2 picks in both games this season against the 49ers. He was sacked twice in the first game, but 5 times in that second game. They will need that pressure again. I love the fact that the 49ers ran the ball 75 times in their 2 wins over LA this season. I mean, we know what they're going to do, right? We know what they're going to do. And they still are able to pound that ball, and that opens up some options for Samuel. I've gone back and forth with this one too, but who am I to question history and that stat? I'm going to go with a more physical team and take the San Francisco 49ers with 3.5. So
I love it. Hey, Tiki, Ron's a turncoat.
I know he is. Benedict Arnold over there.
100%. I was all in with Tiki last week, and now I completely flip sides, and I'm with Rondé. So
you know what? You're not Benedict Arnold. You're like Aaron Burr. You were on my side, fought in the Revolution. Then you wanted to duel me in New Jersey, and you shoot me while I aim my gun at the side. I did the honorable thing. I aimed my gun at the sky, and you shot me.
That is a fantastic history lesson right there.
I love it.
Oh, man. And for our viewers and listeners, we do not talk to each other before these recordings. We just go with it, and that's why you get so much entertainment from your entertainment dollar. All right, so that's going to do it for the conference championship games. Again, Tiki is going with both favorites this week, the Chiefs and the Rams. Rondé and myself going with both underdogs, taking the points with the Bengals in San Francisco. Should be a lot of fun. But, guys, it hurts me to say this, but we have come down to our final bucket of the year.
There's any in there? There's still some in there? I love it.
Still some in here. Yeah, they're not fresh anymore, but soon this will be back on producer Mike Riggs' mantle. Nice. Soon enough, Mike. Take it easy. You'll get it back. All right, we will choose 3 random bets that the guys are either in on or going to pass on. So
I hope they're good bets. I hope they've marinated like pickles do, and they get better as they age.
So do I. All right, here we go. Number 1. Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
Really? Here we go. With Liverpool 6-1 to win the Premier League. I'm going to just wind it up and let you guys go.
So this is my team, obviously. The Reds are currently 9 points back, I believe, or is it 8, Rondé?
I think it's 8. I think it's 9. I think
the Reds are 9 point back on, I think it is Man City, but they have a game in hand, meaning they haven't played a game. Maybe they actually have 2 in hand on Man City.
So they played one less game. They played one less game than
so they have a game in hand. They're 9 points back. Man City faltered this past weekend. Liverpool looks as strong as ever. I would take this bet without a doubt. 6 to 1. 6-1. The Reds have won the last couple of matches without Sadio Mane and Mo Salah, who have been away in the African Nations Cup, and they've done it with Jota and some of these other guys who have been playing really great. Alisson's one of the best goalies in the Premier League. I would take this bet. I definitely would. It's optimism because I don't want to see Man City run away like they did last year with the EPL title. It was gross last year.
The one thing, Ron, if you're not an EPL fan, the table never lies. It always tells the truth at the end of the season. The best team usually is sitting on top. Now, that being said, Manchester City has paid handsomely to be the best team at the end of every campaign. The fact that Liverpool has come roaring back into relevance over the past 3 or 4 years is amazing in itself, and they do it really in a way that English people admire. So 6-1, I've taken it as well, because as good as Man City is, I think Jurgen Klopp, the manager at Liverpool, is a better manager than Pep Guardiola. And Man City hasn't hit their little midseason dip. Yep. Every team has it. they're going to hit it, and Liverpool's going to pounce. I would take 6-1 on Liverpool.
Wow, bold.
Liverpool's trailing by 9 points. They have 3 or 4 more goals on the season, so they're scoring the goals. They're there. Yeah. They just haven't won as much, or I think it's more it's the draws that's killed Liverpool this year. Brentford, we drew with Brentford, we drew with Chelsea,
6.
Like these stupid draws. 6 draws this year.
6 of them.
That's right.
The issue with soccer.
Right. No, it's not. Draws. That's what makes it great.
Table never lies.
We got that for another show. I mean, I can't wait for the Premier League betting with the Barbers. Spectacular.
That's what we're going to talk about. That's the only thing we're going to be able to talk about in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks. So
yeah.
Right, yes, getting it down. All right, so both guys are in on Liverpool. Let's go back to our bucket of bets and see what we got here. Next up, I love this one. AFC right now is a -1.5 favorite to win the Super Bowl. Are you jumping on it? You think about it. Would you take Kansas City as a 1.5 over LA or San Francisco? Or would you take the Bengals -1.5 over San Francisco or LA?
Tough, dude. I honestly, no. I'm not taking that. I think the NFC has a better product right now. I think I honestly think the quarterbacks in the NFC give you a better chance. Mahomes is what Mahomes is. I don't know that Joe Burrow is ready to win a Super Bowl. I just don't. I think he can make it there. I think he can beat them. But I'll take Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan in one game over Andy Reid or Zach Taylor right now. I will. I will.
Yeah.
Kansas City's got one Super Bowl under Andy Reid, right? They've won one Super Bowl. I mean, he's made the playoffs a ton. They won one Super Bowl. I think the guys in the NFC are better. I think they have more talent.
Well, the question, let me think about this. Let me talk through it. The Cincinnati Bengals get in. Am I taking DeMeco Ryans getting after the Bengals, that front 7, against the Bengals front 5? I'm giving the edge to the 49ers. That's just on the offensive defense.
Well, the other way.
If it's the Rams, this is the Rams and what they do with Raheem Morris and Floyd and all those guys, all those stunts to create. I'm definitely taking them over the Bengals. So NFC clearly with the Bengals. Now the NFC with the Kansas City Chiefs is a different proposition because the Chiefs have actually gotten pretty good up front offensively. They don't run the ball nearly effective enough, but they don't have to. I think we need to get rid of talking about teams. Oh, you don't run the ball enough. It doesn't matter anymore in the National Football League. So for me, it comes a question of how many stops do I think the 49ers or the Rams can get against Pat Mahomes. And I think it's enough given their ability to score as well and control the game and the run game if you're the 49ers to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. So I would agree with Rondé. I would not take this bet.
Well, put it this way. How many stops?
Because it's basically a pick 'em even because it's only 1.5. I wouldn't take this bet.
How many stops can the AFC defenses get against either one of the offensive coordinators in the NFC? It's less, right?
You're
right. Going to score more. Period. Just start. So no.
I just think if the Chiefs are playing either of them, aren't they going to be the favorite by more than 1.5?
Let's not forget that the Chiefs struggle against teams that have variable defenses, meaning they're not just doing one thing. Now, I know that the 49ers and the Rams both play a lot of zone. You will not see the 49ers play man. Rondé said this in this NFC Championship game, is they are severely compromised in their secondary, particularly their cornerbacks. But they play zone as well as anybody in the league. And if you're playing the Kansas City Chiefs and you're dropping 7 or 8, Pat Mahomes wants to create a play. We see it all the time. But with the 49ers, they're getting home, whether it's Bosa or whether it's Armstead, they're going to get home and make it hard for the Kansas City Chiefs. So I know what you're saying, and I think intuitively it sounds right to say, well, Pat Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, they'll figure it out. But I think that both those defenses can create the type of pressure that disrupts the Pat Mahomes of the NFL.
God, so you can take the NFC plus 1.5. I mean, if you're up one. All right, this is it. This is it. Our final bucket o bets bet of the year, or at least for the year of the Betting with the Barbers show. Oh man, Denver Nuggets action. My Nuggets here. Are you taking the Joker at 7-2 odds to win back to back?
Yeah.
In NBA MVPs.
Yeah. Steph's fallen off. There's no doubt about this. Steph has fallen off. I mean, LeBron James, people will always create him a conversation around him because of what he's attempting to do with an inferior roster right now. Even though they did have a big win over the Nets, but even though, I mean, nobody played. Harden was the only guy that played. So it's not going to be LeBron. It's not going to be Steph. He fell off. Joel Embiid is in this conversation. He scored 50 in 27 minutes last week, which is ridiculous. But he's already missed 11 games, and he's bound to miss more. I think that team starts to fall apart a little bit, especially with the Ben Simmons drama hanging around them. And who else should be in that conversation? I think that's it. So, yeah, I would take Joker back-to-back. I guess Giannis is in the conversation, but
yes,
he hasn't been – I don't know. It doesn't feel like he's been as dominant in previous years.
Durant's thrown in there.
No, Durant's out for 6 weeks, man. He's just He's not. It's not him. It's going to be Joker again. It is. That's a good bet.
So what's the remind me of this
three? It's basically 3.5 to 1. So
for
7 to 2
that the Joker's back-to-back MVP. Can I just say it for you? No, you don't think?
No, I don't think so. I don't. I mean, all those guys Tiki named. I mean, the best team in the NBA right now, right, is the Phoenix Suns, correct?
Suns, yeah.
I mean, the Denver Nuggets, no.
Yeah, but I mean, Devin Booker's not winning the MVP, so I know that he's exciting.
But he's playing like an MVP type of player.
Yeah, but
he might not win it, but he's playing like an MVP type player. You get to the end of the season, and all of a sudden, he's accelerated his development, and I don't know. Denver's got to win a lot more games for that to happen. Let's just play that.
They're real middle. Well, injuries are destroying them too, so they're real middle of the road. But I like what you're saying. I mean, you make a good point, both of you. People were not happy that he won the MVP last year, but when you look at what's going on in the NBA right now, I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, there's Embiid is a 2 to 1. Giannis is right behind him at plus 325. Booker 60 to 1. I don't know. If you look at what a MVP does for their team, Jokic has got to be up there, and I don't know. The Nuggets.
His PER is just stupid. It's one of the highest I've ever seen at 33.7.
Yeah.
And Embiid's is not far behind at 30, I think 0.1 or something like that. We looked at it the other day on our show, but Joker's MVP, his statistics are ridiculous right now this year, and so he's holding that team together. They've had a bunch of issues. I think that's going to give him a lot of credence to that title, especially if they get it right as it gets closer to playoff time and they become a top 4 seed and they're hosting a game in the first round.
Yeah, it's going to be a difficult task, but they need to get some guys back from injury for sure.
Yep.
All right, guys. So that's going to do it for the Bucket O Bets.
I can't believe you threw us a basketball question right there.
Basketball, soccer, and we got one football. Well, he likes to keep us on our toes, doesn't he? Well done, Mike. Well done. Well, guys, we have a winner. We want to thank everyone, all of our viewers, our listeners who participated in the Superbook season-long contest of winning a trip to Vegas to hang out with the Barbers. Our flyaway winner, drum roll please, guys. Well done, is Chris Alonso of San Marcos, Texas. Chris, he has just done a trip to hang out with the boys and myself at the Superbook in Las Vegas. And there was some foreshadowing earlier in the show, guys. He asked back on December 2nd, offense wins games, defense wins championships, true or false? That was the winning question.
He knows his stuff. I look forward to it. I love Texas. One of my best friends lives in Texas. We can party in Texas just like we can party in Vegas. So that'll be fun.
Absolutely. And thank you to everyone that sent in questions. We appreciate it. We had some great fun with that segment this season. But congratulations once again, Chris Alonso of San Marcos, Texas. We'll be getting in touch with you with some details. But you're going to Vegas, baby. Heck yeah. Going to be a lot of fun. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for another episode of Betting with the Barbers. Final four time as we head into the AFC and NFC championship games. Give you the spotlight. Tiki, any final thoughts?
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. The Kansas City Chiefs are hosting, again, the fourth straight AFC championship game. They've been unbelievable. And on the other side, you got two of the wonder kids, offensive minds in the league in the NFC. It's going to be a great matchup no matter how you cut it. And if the Bengals somehow find a way to win, good for them, because it's been ages since they've been there.
No doubt.
All right. My thought of the week, and it correlates with my my picks with 49ers and the Bengals. Fun fact here. If the 49ers and Bengals advance, it'll be 40 years since they played in their first Super Bowl, right?
Crazy.
And guess who called that game?
Who?
Matt.
Recently deceased John Madden.
Wow.
John Madden, Pat Summerall. 100%. Great stat, man. Well done. Well done. Yeah, kind of crazy to think that we could have the Bengals and 49ers three beats and who knows. Great stuff, guys. Just to recap quickly before we get to the AFC and NFC championship games, because someone's going to be bragging next week, and maybe two guys are going to. Rondé and I went with both underdogs, taking Cincinnati and San Francisco, and Tiki's going with the favorites. He's got Kansas City and the Rams. We will see. But make sure that you join us next week. We will preview the Super Bowl, and then we have a lot going on with the Super Bowl show. So make sure that you are following us on social media at Superbook Sports and at Betting with the Barbers for updates on all the action heading into the Super Bowl. You can always hit us up at Rondé Barber, at Tiki Barber, and at R. Kruk. Betting with the Barbers airs on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and at superbook.com. New episodes drop every Thursday at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific. And make sure you look for our video clips throughout the weekend and coming up on Sunday in the big games. And don't forget, you got to get to superbook.com for the latest line movement. If that line in Kansas City goes up to 7.5, how does that change some things? There's some injury updates too. So keep an eye on that at superbook.com. The podcast version of Betting with the Barbers is available on Apple and Spotify. For my partners, the stars of the show, Rondé and Tiki Barber, I'm Ron Kruk. Enjoy the playoffs, everyone. That is all.